So today we're doing brakes on my daughter's 2009 Dodge Journey. We got it jacked up. I'm going to take off the wheels next and see what we got. So these lug nuts, in case you don't know, is a 19 or a 19 mil 3/4 inch socket. Already got that one loosened up, but set those aside. We'll take those all off. So we got all lug nuts off. Just take this off and roll this winter tire off to the side. So here we got our pads and rotor caliper set up. Typical front wheel drive stuff. You can see on the inside of the rotor, this doesn't look too bad on this side, but when you look on the back side here, you can see she's, let's see if you can see that. It's all rusty and grooved. And if you look on the end here, those pads are pretty much worn right out. You can see that inner pad there is worn right out. Outside is not quite as bad, but still well past its prime. Now before we go any further, we're going to throw a jack stand under here just for safety. Don't want to just rely on a jack. We want to make sure we got that this thing doesn't come down on us. So put it underneath the frame here. We got a nice solid connection. That should be good, just in case. Better safe than sorry. Now, I don't know when the last time was the brakes were done on this vehicle. My daughter just bought this one a few months ago. So I like to use PB Blaster, but I always put some kind of penetrating fluid on these just because I don't want to break them. So these are the slider bolts that I'm loosening up here now. There's a 15 mil wrench on the inside of it. It takes a little bit of force. There we go. There we go. Just want to crack it loose for now. I'll take it apart later when we get the whole thing apart. Next, we're going to take off the caliper bolts that mounted right to the steering knuckle. Just in the back here. Socket, I've got a deep one on here now just to get past the brake hose. This piece here. And a little bit of extension on here, so hopefully I can get enough pressure on that. Yeah, we're gonna need a little. Now that we've got it broken loose, I'm gonna take out these bolts on the top and then one on the bottom as well. You can see it down there. Take those out and then we can slide the caliper off. Well, we got both the caliper bolts out. They're fairly big bolts, and we can take that caliper off. So sometimes you can just slide them off. You see everything's loose there now, but the caliper's stuck on there just from the brakes pressing on there. So we're going to grab our pry bar, wedge it in there, and we're going to work our way out of there. You can see it's on there pretty tight just because the calipers are so far pushed out from the brake pads being so worn down. So we got the caliper off and I've just got it sitting on top of the rotor and the dust shield now. You can see a little bit better there. Those brake pads are very, like, almost completely worn down on that side. This actually outside is not terrible, but the inside there is only a couple mils left, if I can roughly. So we're going to take this outside pad, or the outer pad, right out. Just throw it away. We don't need that. And we're going to try to slide this. We're going to slide this other brake pad out of here. We are going to use this, so keep that handy. And we're going to slide this bracket right off. Should come off fairly easily as long as the sliders are not rusted on. And that's what you should have left. You've got your boots and your slider bolts there, and this is your caliper bracket. We're going to take that and clean it all out, make sure it's nice and clean, and then re-lube everything, and so it'll slide nice and straight later on. So we loosened up these bolts before, but now we got to undo them. I can do this with, of course, it's not going to come off. We're going to have to get the tools and do that again that way. Okay, so we had to get the 15 mil wrench back on here and the 13 mil socket. If we can still see there. There we go. Undo that little bolt, and that's all going to fall apart when I take the bolt out. That's a little bolt that comes at the end, and that's the slider. This is your slider bolt and your caliper bushing. The caliper bushing just pulls off on this style. It's not pressed in or anything like some are. And you just, we're going to pull that off. We're going to put new ones on there, but we're going to take that slider piece and we're going to clean that up with some brake clean and some sandpaper, and then re-lube it before we put it all back together. So we've got the sliders all cleaned up now, and like I said before, we're going to use that inner brake pad. And with it being so worn out, that caliper is pretty much almost fully extended as far as it could go without popping out. So we got to push it in quite a ways. So we've got this big C-clamp. Put on the inside of the very back part of the caliper underneath the brake hose. Make sure you're not hitting your bleeder, which is back here. We want to push that caliper back in slowly, because that's going to be pushing all the brake fluid all the way back up this line into your master cylinder. So I've got the cap taken off the master cylinder, just in case it overflows, in case there's too much fluid in the system by the time I push this all back. But just do it slowly, bit by bit. You don't want to overdo it and rupture any lines or blow your piston on your caliper or anything like that. So you want to clean out the sliders, where the sliders go in here as well, clean up any junk, because if you got too much grease, don't just grease them up and push them back in there. You'll get like a hydrolock kind of thing. Focusing. And so you want to clean those out, make sure they're nice and clean. Use a wire brush like this, something that'll fit in there, and then afterwards spray some brake clean in there. Make sure you don't get it in your face, because it is going to shoot back on you. And yeah, make sure they're nice and clean before you put it all back together, and then re-lube the sliders, and you'll be all set. So I've got these all cleaned up now as far as these sliders. Let's see if you can see in there, if I can show you what it looks like. You can kind of see it in there. All nice and clean, shouldn't be any crap left in there. Next thing we're going to do is take this caliper, and there's these little brackets in here. I don't know if you can see that they should be replaced every time you do your brake pads. If you buy a decent quality brake pad, it should come with them. Like these are in the AD pads that I got from Napa, a good high-end brake pad. Now they are specific, so do one at a time so you can make sure you match them up. So we're going to put that one down here. We're going to try to find the match. That looks like that should be a match there. And she's going to pop in here just like the other one did. You got to get that piece of that tab there to go right on there and lock it in place. Just like that. Do the same thing with all of them, but like I said, just do one at a time so you can match them up. So next we're going to get this bracket ready for the brake pads to go into it. And before we do that, we're going to put some of this Easy Slide number 331 on there. And I just put a dab on my finger, and I'm going to put a little bit on each of these slider where the brake pad's going to slide into. Just make sure everything slides nice and smooth and lasts for hopefully years to go. So next we're going to get the pads ready. So this one here, if you can see it, like I said, these are the AD pads from Napa, and they're actually marked as outer. Once in the package over here is marked inner. It's got the little Napa symbol on there. And we're going to get those set in those sliders that we just lubed up there, and get that ready to go onto the caliper. So we got the slider bolt there. We put the new bushing on it. We're going to take some of that same Easy Slide grease, put it on here, spread it around, make sure it's all good. And we're going to slide it into the caliper bracket. You can see over there, we've got the other side done already. We're going to put it into this side. We've got the brake pads mounted in there, ready to go. And then it's almost time to put it back on the caliper. Alright, so I've been slowly turning this clamp in. So you can see there that boot is much smaller, much more compressed than it was earlier. So just take that clamp off. You can take that out now. Take the brake pad, throw that away. We're ready to get the thing. We're going to put some disc brake quiet, they call it, on the inside of the caliper and also in the insides here. That's just like a rubberized liquid rubber kind of stuff that helps stop vibration, keeps everything quiet and everything in place nicely. And well, I'll show you what that looks like in a second. You can see I just put it around the piston of the caliper there, and also on the inside here, and just wherever the brake pads are going to touch the caliper. It just helps reduce any vibration, and vibration is the #1 cause of noise with new brakes. Sorry, it's hard to do with only one hand, but you can see you've got the caliper bracket mounted with one bolt on there, and we can just basically, once we get that on like that, we can flip her over. Everything goes nice and smooth, and you gotta push that bolt in there, and there we go. We've got the new calipers and bracket all mounted in there. We just got to put that bolt back in the slider bolt there, and then we can ready to change the rotor and put it all back together. So we've got this Napa Ultra Premium high carbon rotor. You can even see it's got a little symbol in there, if you can see that. And there's the box that they come in for the Journey. We just got the caliper resting up there, and ready to put it all back together now. So we've got the caliper partly mounted. I've got one of the bolts in there. This is the second bolt, and you see I put a little bit of a blue thread locker on there. That's this stuff down here. And I just like to put it just a medium strength stuff, just to extra insurance, make sure those bolts don't work their way loose or anything. Don't ever use the red stuff though. You're not going to get it apart. So there you go. That's pretty much it. We've got all the bolts in there nice and tight. Make sure you double check all the sliders and bolts and make sure everything's tightened back up. While you're in here, it's not a bad idea to check your sway bar links. They're quite common on these ones. I've just done these ones recently. And the tie rods and sway bar bushings and etc. control arm bushings. It's always a good idea to check everything while you're in here. And this one also has new struts on it that were just put on not long ago. So hopefully you found this helpful, and if you did, let me know, give me a like, and if you didn't, let me know what you didn't like about it. Thanks for watching, we'll talk to you later. I forgot to mention, always make sure you properly torque your wheels when you're done, and always retorque them in a couple of days just to make sure. Thank you.